All right, fellas, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, especially advanced battlefield command and tactics, and we remain dedicated to our siege and city defense series. Each one of these is a little bit like a Rubik's Cube puzzle or some kind of other complicated challenge where you got to click the right levers, push the right buttons, etc., to essentially deliver victory for your kingdom. Now we're going to be fighting against the Khazate here. This is a fairly realistic scenario. We will say we are outnumbered. Actually, let's go ahead and make it outnumbered 4-1 here against the Khazate. We will be defending Husn and Fulq, which is very close to Khazate territory. And this is a realistic scenario, right? So the Khan, Manchug, and his big band of thug Khazate is pounding down on our Aserai city. Let's see how we do here. Now, like the rest of this series, we're going to go ahead and put the sergeant in charge at the first run here. This will just take a minute or two and essentially see some of the strengths, weaknesses, layouts of these cities and castles. This big left open side courtyard here. We'll talk more about that later, of course. This right side is a lot harder to defend. It's going to take some little bit of precision work to set this up. Maybe a situation, in fact, where we don't even want to try to defend this right side. The main location that the siege tower comes to here is not very easy for our troops to defend, right? There's no archers that can really get good line of sight on this location where the siege tower comes. And so it might be a situation where you intentionally give up part of the city. Now, in this case, the AI has done a pretty good job. They've destroyed the siege tower over there, and that's going to make the defense a little bit more likely to succeed. At this stage, also, I want to thank the Patreon supporters. We have a handful of very fine Patreon supporters for the channel. And as a thank you to you Patreon supporters, I'll be uploading all of the Aserai City and Castle Defense series well in advance of their upload onto the main channel. This is just a thank you to the Patreon supporters. And every once in a while as well, we will throw your name and lights up on these episodes as a thank you for those that continue to support me and support the channel here as we do tactics across Calradia. Now, what typically happens here with the AI is that they'll try to defend these two locations, but they don't have a huge amount of archer support, and that means ultimately melee, right? Infantry on infantry, in which case you're rarely going to achieve better than a 1.5 or 2-to-1 kill ratio. Well, outnumbered 4-to-1, that's not going to cut it, right? Even though they destroyed a siege tower, failure is still probable here simply because they're not really gaining much of a tactical advantage here. If you just throw your troops headlong against the enemy, eventually you lose the numbers game. In fact, you can sort of see here the Khazate is building up a giant amount of Khan's guards and whatnot, lancers on this siege tower. It's starting to break down. And once it collapses, that's it for the city defense, right? You can actually hear guys saying, run. The AI wet its pants here with fear. The guys are running left and right, and now all you have is the center gate, at which stage, of course, you're never going to be able to defend, right? The guys have been coming from the flank here, and this siege defense is over. Now, they actually did a fairly admirable job, all in all. The AI rarely succeeds, outnumbered 3-to-1, and outnumbered 4-to-1 here. They killed 60% of the enemy troops. That's not horrible. That said, your city is still sacked, right? Manchug takes Husn and Fulq, and he lives happily ever after with you in chains. All right, so let's show you fellas how to win at Husn and Fulq with tactics. We're going to use a combination of pre-troop setup, but also tactics. And what we're going to do is punt this right side. If you've never heard of that term before, that basically means we're going to give up that right side. I imagine that comes from the football analogy, American football, where you punt the ball and just give up and give it to the other team. So what we're going to do is put almost all of our defenses in this left corridor. There's all kinds of locations for them, and I'm going to use that fire catapult and try to destroy a siege tower. Right here, though, there's all kinds of angles. There's all kinds of tiers where you can place archers. Those archers, of course, protecting each other. It's symbiosis. We're going to have 4 infantry divisions also for this battle because I don't need the intricacy of having a huge amount of archer divisions. This is going to allow some flexibility. We'll have this 2nd division of skirmishers. Those guys can be used as an additional square in case the enemy tries to circle on our defenders over here. For now, we'll just place them there. The third corps, these are all shock troops, and we get these shock troop divisions again by having all the other infantry units have that shield preference. Obviously, they don't have shields. All right, so first division here at the gate, but this is another punt situation. I'm merely doing this to slow the enemy down. We're going to try to cause a little bit of death at the beginning, sort of stall the enemy while our catapults work, and then eventually we will fall back to this location. Now, you could put them down here. That seems appropriate. However, where we're going to be placing our archers, that's not going to work. We need these guys to be, as they attack our infantry, to be visible, and you will see the difference between that and where we were going to put them a second ago, or at least where I was showing you could put them. 2, 3, 4. I like to have an elite division of archers. That way those guys can be positioned in a priority location where they all have line of sight. And then we will have 3 other divisions, including, this is important too, a shielded archer division with the Aserai. I've mentioned this whole series. You get these Mamluk guards. They're normally horse archers. In a siege, what's nice about them is they can form a square, right? These guys can be added to the defensive squares to jam up a hole, or even charge in melee, right? They're not horrible. They whip out their shield. They can defend themselves. You'd much rather have those guys attacking than Aserai master archers. So that's why we designate the 6th in this situation to have shields. Most of these battles with the Aserai, I will try to keep the same units in the same divisions, and I encourage you to do so as well. Now that's not bad, right? The 5th Corps is sort of split over these 3 or 4 different locations. What you want to do with these other divisions, these other 3 archer divisions, is to essentially give them locations where they're a little bit separate from each other and they provide crossfire, right? Those guys are now protected by this top ring. I think I can get a nice line of guys up here. So the 8th Corps, those are our best archers, are up top. They have a great angle on the whole courtyard. Anybody coming up here, if we need to, we can jam them up with the 2nd Division. If they start circling on us, we could either pull those guys into the guard tower, right, where they're highly protected, or better yet, onto the wall here, where our archers can then shoot them. You want to have levers you can pull in a battle. This is why famous generals and war leaders like Napoleon, etc., had a reserve division. In case you need something in emergency, if you don't have a reserve, this is just like your financial situation at home. If you don't have money that you can pull in case of emergency, a root canal or whatever, then you're fucked, just like the battlefield, right? The enemy wins, your teeth win, and you become a slave to credit card debt. All right, I think that's going to work. So my job is to jump on this fire catapult, do as much damage as possible, and we may just stick to killing troops this battle. It actually doesn't matter if you think about it. If they get both siege towers up, it doesn't really matter. We have a focused defense over here. Even if they get to if I can't destroy this siege tower on the other side, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be pouring in through the front gate. So this is not that critical. I think it actually makes more sense for me to try to immolate as many of these archers, etc. as possible. Now you see this group of troops out there, see how they're sort of gleaming? You always want to shoot at the troops where it's like clearly armor, right? If you could kill armored troops, especially cons guards and stuff like that, that's much more valuable than killing little piddly tier 3 archers, right? You want to prioritize what you're killing with these fire catapults. See that marksman, heavy horse archer, Keshig, those are their higher level units. I'd love to get a hold of some cons guards with these fireballs, but we'll see. I got one little guy shooting at me, but this spot seems pretty safe. We got ourselves a cons guard kill there. And what's nice about this catapult, right, just sitting here, you notice we're not being pounded by the enemy archers. Usually they have a lot more archers closer to the gate, but for whatever reason they're not pursuing that strategy. It may be because of the troop layout we have. There's nothing for them to shoot, right? And so the AI is sort of flustered. Those are always nice shots, right, where you kill 15 guys and injure some more. Now, this is really strange behavior. The AI is pulling all of its archers back, it looks like, and running them over to the other siege tower, which is fine. It's not like, it's almost like, you know, in real life, they're like, let's back up so we can't get hit. Well, I can reach you fuckers way over there too. We'll lob some flaming incendiaries in that direction as well. And I'm doing this with anticipation of a really juicy ending here. This is going to be like a porn video, just Bannerlord style. There will be a money shot here in this setup, and I can explain I don't know if you foresee the future as well as I do, but eventually that siege tower over there, we're actually going to let that arrive. That far right one over there. And what'll happen is the AI will start to stack troops up to try to get up it. Well, they're going to be complete fish in a bottle for this siege tower, right, or for this fire catapult, right? They're going to be compacted right in our sights, and we're going to be able to kill compacted enemies as they try to get up that siege tower. It might be an example where it's actually better to leave the siege tower here. I know that's counterintuitive, but you can see these guys are going to be immolated en masse. Now here's another thing we have to keep in mind. They are going to have troops on the walls, and we have no troops on the walls, right? So we are not safe here. I'm already thinking of a contingency plan. There's these little tents and tarps behind me here. I'm gonna jump the fuck out of here. If the enemy starts zerging us and yelling and screaming about fuck our mother and stuff like that, then we're gonna jump the hell out of here, right? They're already saying they're gonna dismember us, tear our limbs. Not before I immolate a bunch of your friends. Now, normally they compact. Usually with the siege towers, they will compact. I lost my little helper here. Usually they will compact now. I was gonna say now. Usually once the siege tower drops its little bridge, then the enemy will compact on it and start to climb that siege tower. That is just what the doctor ordered. I've got a very brief period of time here to fire in some rounds, and that is your money shot, right? The whole screen, dead Kazate. Hopefully we can get off every fireball here before the enemy comes. They are coming, right? They're coming over there. They're going to be coming from the right. It's just a matter of time. Again, you get multiple money shots for you. And might be able to get both these off. It's going to be close. And I mean, this is mass death for the enemy. This is like 60, 70 deaths. Things actually look okay here for one more shot, although I see him coming, right? We're going to be able to just barely, this is going to be like a James Bond episode, get this last shot off, jump onto the tarp, abandon our guy here. He was expendable. We'll pull our archers back, and we could try to pull the infantry back, but it's probably a hopeless decision, hopeless effort. What I mean by the infantry is the guys at the gate that were just holding it there. They're sort of the Medal of Honor winners for this battle. In fact, they went from 20 troops to 9 in like 1 second. That's not good. And let's see if our mousetrap works here, right? This is probably going to work. I may have to configure it a little bit. We've got the 3rd Corps, this group of shock troops here that can help me. And that's going to be important because the enemy's coming in huge numbers. Now we just have to hope our archers are well positioned to kill. Now, it might be tempting to charge with that 3rd Corps, right? These shock troops. It's better to have them stack up like that. That way the enemy stands still and lets hundreds of arrows hit them on the side, right? You can just see the arrows raining in on the side. Prioritize archers here. If you have yourself a javelin, or maybe you're a bow and arrow character, kill some of their archers, because their archers are going to cause some losses just shooting at your troops. And if you get attacked, of course, just fall back to your friendly little 6th division here, and these guys will dispatch instant enemy fucks. And so far so good. The death spam looks successful. We need, of course, to have a 4-to-1 kill ratio, probably a little better. Now I'm sending that 3rd Corps here, actually, because these are archers. Because they're not charging us, I want our troops attacking them. We get our shock troops on those archers. At least they'll inflict some chaos, inflict some damage while the rest of our archers work. We can help them here kind of at the margins. But I can also pull these guys back, right? These guys don't have to fight permanently. I can stick them around the corner here. We have tremendous line of sight advantage on the enemies. If we just shove troops around the corner like that, they're going to be forced to come out into this exposed archer fire, and it's going to be a very unpleasant experience for the enemy. Their archers have no shields here. These guys are going to get shot in the face and killed. I've got this 6th Corps right now. What else can we do with this 6th Corps? I mentioned it before. You guys heard me talk about it. This thing is a very applicable shield, or a square, right? We can take this archer corps. I wouldn't recommend doing the whole thing, but there's nothing wrong with just taking this whole 6th group of archers, this 40 guys or so, 35 guys, and just putting them in a square and putting them chunky kind of right in the middle of this battle. That'll attract a huge amount of attention. Those guys will defend themselves pretty well, and we still have about 80 or 100 archers shooting, right? Which means this division can just sort of hang on for dear life while the rest of our archers work. Again, just like before, we can sort of pull them into line of sight here. That division up top, I mentioned that before, right? If those guys are not visible to the archers, if they're not really helping you, that square will get beat down. Up there, the archers have beautiful line of sight, and the Khazate is just melting here. In fact, I can see from the power bar that this battle is over. The AI got destroyed here. Here we're quite successful with about half of our troops left. Now, there's some micromanagement there, but a lot of that probably could have been set up beforehand, right? And you could have just been throwing javelins or shooting arrows from the rampart somewhere and still been quite successful there. This is definitely a situation where a 4-to-1 keep defense should be fairly autonomous. As we get a few stalls here towards the end, that's the AI trying to figure out a pathfinding of how the fuck they can get out of here because they're getting shot to death. And that's that. I'm sure we have 100 plus troops left. But I do want to try to show you an autonomous defense of this. So we'll reload this, hopefully kind of do it quickly, and then show you what that looks like. All right, recording has started. We've done some pre-positioning here, and I'll talk about this briefly as we start here. This is essentially a pre-positioning that I think may work. We're able to get some decent spreading of the archers on that right side. If this doesn't work, I think it'll at least be somewhat successful. I was going to say successful. Well, if it doesn't work, it's not successful. What I guess I'll say is this may be successful in many situations. You can see the configuration there. The 3rd Corps is blocking the left over there. We've got 2 archer divisions supporting those guys. These guys have decent line of sight. But again, that's not going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to have to move that infantry division because where they're standing right now is not going to work. This 8th Corps over here is in decent positioning, right? And these guys down the stairs, let's try to drag these guys up the stairs a little bit. I think what you got to do probably here is move them up, and then once they're almost to that walkway, tell everybody to stop. Looks like a big long orange caterpillar, and get down on the ground level sometimes, either with your own character or if you're using the RTS mod. The enemy comes through here and look what they face: an infantry division in their face and like 28 archers with good line of sight. Now, for the most part, I'm just going to let this battle play out. I'm not going to help. I'm not going to fire catapults. We'll just let whatever fire catapults or siege towers rather arrive at the gates as necessary. Maybe we'll throw a few rocks down from the gatehouse, right? That's something automatically you should be doing as the commander. The AI will do it. However, I'll mention this: if you're doing this micromanaging, it may not. The rocks that are in the gatehouse, that are in every city and castle throughout the lands, you see they destroyed 1 siege tower. Those rocks are available, and the AI will throw those unless, and this is important for newer players or somebody trying this strategy for the first time, unless you have full micromanagement. Here we're controlling every division. That's very likely then that these rocks will not have any troops to throw them. You see there's just a big pile of rocks here, and there's no guy standing next to them excitedly ready to throw them. That is because we're controlling every unit. The AI generally either takes control or you take control. There's very little in between. It's a little bit like the One Ring, right? There can only be one commander. There are hybrid ways to defend, and I may go into that into some detail in some of these episodes, but generally, if you're micromanaging like this, you want to throw these rocks, right? You want to be getting these 15 to 30 kills. I generally wait for the enemy to break the outer door, because what happens then, of course, is the AI packs up more troops for you to kill here. Instead of 7-8 guys pounding on the gate, you've got a full whack, right? There's just a big glob of troops there. And then, of course, you don't really have to aim. You just throw these as fast as possible, and you're doing somewhere between 500 and 1,000 points of damage every rock throw, right? Because you're killing 4, 5, 6 guys and injuring a bunch more. That whole process should take you 30 seconds or less. All right, now let's see how our mousetrap is going to do here. This is very much a mousetrap, right? Now you can see already this is failing. These archers don't have enough room in the courtyard, and the AI is readily attacking these guys. So, in the name of success, in the name of wanting to show you guys success instead of failure, I think what we'll do is just pull these guys back. The bottom line is the gate in this city is extremely difficult to defend. You guys could tell just because of the line of sight there. Now this looks like a death trap. The AI is haplessly trying to get to these troops. It's being shot to pieces. It's being held perfectly in place. Most of those archers can shoot. That's a bad situation for the enemy. Now the gate is blown open. We anticipated this, right? And so we've got these guys here, but this is what I wanted to show you. This is not going to work. Do you see how few archers are shooting at them? A lot of these guys are just standing here. If you go down and look at some of these guys, those guys can shoot, right? They can shoot down, but the guys below them, they can't shoot at all, right? These guys can hit them, but the guys below them can't see them at all, right? Again, every once in a while, you want to get down to where your archers are. These guys are just standing there, hearing their guys killed. That's no good. Let's adjust, right? We're going to do 2 adjustments here, and I know I said this was going to be autonomous. I didn't know how this was going to run out, and so I don't want to show you a failed autonomous system. I would put them kind of like that, or even on the steps here, and that is so that the archers below can see these guys, right? Now, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to move this top archer division, and I'll show you another way to do this. I'm just going to use the RTS mod to control this guy and say, follow me, boys. I'm going to have this group of 46 archers follow me. This is not a precise way to do it. Of course, if you're using a mod like the advanced scatter around or whatever it's called, it'll work better for you. But you have these guys follow you. They start trundling along in a big, long snake. And what that does is it gives them all roughly, reasonably side-by-side line of sight, right? You can see most of these guys can shoot. Once they're in good position, you tell them to stop. And now the mousetrap should be set. Now the AI's got a lot of archers shooting over there, and our square just dissolved, right? And that is because we had a delay in setting this up. But look at the death spam, right? That's a nice looking death spam. There's still green fizzing across the screen here as our 100 and something archers work. These, again, are shielded archers, a lot of these guys. So they're going to be able to fight okay there on the walls. There's all kinds of crossfire between these archers. And it looks successful. The AI archers are trying to rush our square. That's never going to be a good strategy for them. They melted. And there you have it, fellas. A relatively autonomous defense for Husn and Fulq. The AI can't handle this. With some tactics, with some troop positioning, you can be the master and governor of Husn and Fulq, as well as your game of Bannerlord. I say that because, of course, you want to subscribe if you want to see more tactics, whether it's open field or city castle defenses. Again, I appreciate you Patreon supporters. Head on over to the Patreon site if you'd like to support me and or see some of the other guides that I have available exclusively for Patreon members. Please hit that like button on the way out of this video. There's more guides to come, fellas. With all that said, I will see you guys next time.